afternoon. Happy Friday the 13th. Mark Milam here, your mortgage professional with Highland Mortgage, coming to you with a little bit of a head cold and this week's interest rate summary and market update. I'll try to get through this without coughing. So it could have been a scary week ending on Friday the 13th. Turned out not so scary at all. Mortgage rates finishing out the week a little bit better than we started. That is all thanks to the Consumer Price Index for December, which came out yesterday, 8:30 a.m. Eastern Time, and we hit a bullseye. We don't hit a bullseye very often, but the number came in right at consensus estimates, and it was an aggressive consensus estimate. We estimated that inflation would have increased 6.5% year over year. That's exactly where it came in. A few other ancillary figures came in right on estimates as well. That's good news because the month prior we were at 7.1%. The month prior to that we were at 7.7%. And we're down from a peak inflation reading in June of 9.1%. No doubt giving credence to the idea that peak inflation is now definitely in the rearview mirror. It's just a matter of how quickly we can return to the Fed's target rate of 2%. And what's the Fed going to do between now and then? Let me flip the screen around here. I'll show you what I'm talking about. This is the Consumer Price Index month over month. So instead of year over year, which I just gave you, this is the month over month data. And you can see we actually have some deflation in there from November to December.
Inflation or deflation, tell me if you can.
Down 0.1% reflects energy prices being down. That's one of the reasons why the overall CPI is down. The core CPI is actually up 0.3%. So when you factor in those energy prices coming down, it really helps the figure. So what's the Fed going to do? How high is the Fed going to continue to raise rates in light of the fact that we've got this month over month declining inflation figure? And you can see as recently as last week, at least one Fed president suggesting the terminal rate is the final rate that they'll raise the Fed funds rate to, will go even higher than 5.25%. Now, right now we're at 4.5% on the Fed funds rate. So 5.25% is already a pretty good clip above where we are, and this Fed president suggesting that we're going to go even higher than 5.25%. But you know what? The market does not believe it. Market participants see a 91% chance that the Fed will hike the benchmark rate by 25 basis points, just a quarter of a point in February, and then see a terminal rate around 4.9% in June. We have a classic case here where a very hawkish Fed is trying to convince the markets that they're going to keep raising rates and they're going to keep them elevated for the foreseeable future, and the market just doesn't believe them.
No, there's no way that's correct.
I'm sorry, I was trying to impress you.
And that's why we're seeing mortgage rates continue to improve. Now, if you're the Fed, what are you supposed to say? You can't say, hey, we're only going to raise it one more time and then we're going to start cutting before the year's end. Then they would lose all credibility. So we're watching the Fed sort of with this hawkish speech, this hawkish tone, and we know that the market is already starting to discount it based on the fact that we're seeing month over month declines in overall inflation. Flip the screen back around. Show you one more headline from Fortune. Inflation has slowed. This is as of this morning. Inflation has slowed, but high prices are here to stay. Here's why the next rate hike should be the Fed's last. All right, and that's what they're talking about in February, that the Fed's going to hike the Fed funds rate one more time, maybe a quarter of a point, maybe a half a point, and then pause. Finally, getting over here to the Mortgage News Daily, we're at the lowest interest rates for mortgages in the past 4 months. You can see the overall rate headed down towards 6% here, and if you're paying any points whatsoever, easily getting a rate in the 5s on the 30-year fixed. We get headed into a holiday weekend. Hope you have a very relaxing Martin Luther King Jr. Day on Monday. If I can be of any service to you over the 3-day weekend, don't hesitate to reach out, mark.milam@highlandmtg.com. Have a good weekend.